From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, from Not Dead Yet on ABC, Josh Banday. And from John Wick 4, Scott Adkins. Plus another round of March Madness, and we'll do the news with Chris Loxamana. And now, devastated that his alma mater of Valley College was eliminated from the tournament, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice 50 on mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Josh Banday is here. Good to see you, Josh.
Good to see you, Adam.
Chris Maxpad is going to handle the news. We got some March Madness to get into. Josh's show, Not Dead Yet, new episodes on Wednesdays on ABC. And it's doing quite nicely, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You're from out here, right?
I am, yeah. I'm from LA native.
Not too many of us are from out here.
Are you from out here?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from, well, was called North Hollywood when I grew up. I think they switched it to Valley Village or NoHo or something. They tried to gussy it up.
They're just trying to get away from the LA proper. That's what everybody's trying to do.
Well, one part of North Hollywood is trying to get away from another part of North Hollywood, because there's a part of North Hollywood that's like Sherman Way and Roscoe, and they just sell tile. And there's a lot of graffiti and sofas out on the lawn, and part that I'm from is marginally better, and they don't want to be lumped in with that part.
No, you guys don't have bars on the windows.
That's right.
It's a little bit different. I feel you there. That makes sense. That's like Culver City's trying to do that.
Did you go to high school out there?
I went to Loyola. Yeah.
Loyola Marymount?
So it's Loyola High.
Yes.
It used to be part of Loyola Marymount, but now it's just an all-boys Catholic school, and it's just, it's out there in L.A., bunch of gross high school dudes running around in uniforms. It's really fun.
Did you grow up? Did you have uniforms and all that back then?
We had a dress code. Mm-hmm. So you had to wear a collared shirt and some khakis and a belt and some nice shoes, or else you'd get detention, which they called jug, which was justice under God. Very high stakes. Very high stakes for high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Justice under God.
It was intense.
I'm sort of, part of me is kind of freewheeling hippie, and the other's kind of great Santini, bad dad, and I'm like, dress codes. Like, there's a part of me is like, fuck that, fuck the man. And then there's like another part of me, it's like, maybe it's good. Maybe it stops fighting as much, or maybe it stops the poor kids from feeling other than from the rich kids who can afford the designer labels. I don't know. Like, where did you land on dress codes?
I mean, it ended up like prison rules, where like you find the smallest things to separate the haves from the have-nots. So it's like, oh, you got a Macy's collared polo, and this guy's in like a Polo brand. Well,
right.
That's a world of difference. You got the gator on your shirt, then like, man, you're cool as hell. But like, if you went to JCPenney and got your polo,
So this
is wild.
So this is kind of interesting in that we're constantly looking at ways to kind of profile and separate. And I don't believe it's a negative thing per se. It's just a human sort of condition.
Yeah, we like categories.
You do. Every time I walk my dog, I'll see in the distance someone else has a dog, and they're coming my direction. And I immediately start profiling the dog and the owner. Like, is my dog cool to come up and sniff this dog's asshole? Or does this dog look like it might bite my dog? And what's the owner look like? And it's not really, people tell you to knock it off, but you can't really knock it off. It's a wiring.
It's just running in your brain.
What breed of dog is this?
Yes.
Is it wagging its tail? What's the owner look like? Like, we're profiling.
So it's like if you see someone coming down the street with, let's say, a Pomeranian, one of those little like fluffy fuzzball things.
Right.
And it's relatively neutral. What's your first read?
Gay owner.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
I know. I'm like, I have labs that are like wagging tails, and then there's sort of German shepherds who may not look as friendly, and then I have a sort of in between zone. But what I'm saying is, it's interesting that the kids who have to define themselves with the haves and the have-nots, but yet they're all in the same prison jumpsuit, must need to do it via a watch or a chain or a type of eyeglasses, like accoutrements.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you adorn yourself just to separate yourself in some way. There was also like a limited color palette that you could go with, and certain colors meant certain things as well. Yeah, it's like if you're like sort of sporting all white like I am today, you were clean cut, you know, no mess, no fuss, you're not playing sports. But then like if you came in like dirty gray or something, people were like, that dude, you don't want to talk to him.
So your dad was a longshoreman
Yeah, man.
at Long Beach?
Yeah, it was ILW. Yeah.
People think of that as like a lateral move from like sharecropper or something, but longshoremen have pretty fucking good union, right?
Yeah.
And make pretty good bucks, right?
It's kind of dope. Like a lot of them are making bank. Like they've done well for themselves for like a group that used to be totally abused.
Yeah, like on the waterfront type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think like LA longshoremen now, average guys making up $163,000 a year or something, right?
Right.
Like it's not a bullshit job.
It was interesting because, you know, like families, your dad wants you to do better than him in a lot of ways.
Right.
And the family business was longshore. And so when I was like, you know, I really like improv, Dad was like, what? And so it's that conversation of like, don't you want to have a stable family where you're unloading ships for 8 hours a day and then you come home to your wife and kids? I'm like, I don't know. Like it was a hard sell for me.
Did your dad operate a gantry crane or something?
He ended his job. He was literally bossing is what they would call it. He'd drive around in a truck and just regulate people. But he took me up in one of those. It seemed like when he was trying to sell it to me, he was just trying to scare the shit out of me the whole time. So he took me up in one of these like 7 or 8 story cranes. And you're up there with just like your feet hanging out of that thing, looking down at the dock below you. And I remember being terrified out of my mind. And then he's like, you know, we could go out on the beam and have lunch.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, dude, what? It was a tough sell. So it's surprising I didn't do that.
So you trained with Second City, you trained with the Groundlings. You were in the Sunday Company.
Yes.
How did you find your way to improv?
Not very well. I tried out for improv teams when I was in high school and in college, and I didn't make either of them. And then in college, like I had auditioned and everyone saw me and I didn't make it. And the dude literally had like the entire improv team in his office going like, no, you need this dude in here. He needs to be on the team. And so I made it. That's like the lamest sports movie, pitch I think I've ever heard.
If you make the Groundlings Sunday Company, you have to have chops in the improv department. There's no Nepo babies that slide into that. You have to know what you're doing.
It's true.
It's pretty rigorous.
Yeah, it is. And like it's even like a kind of a separated experience for, you know, being a person of color coming in through Groundlings. Like it's predominantly like a white space. And so when I was going through it, it's like, yeah, you had to have chops, but then there was like an extra hurdle on top of that of like, you got to be the best of the brown dudes to make the team.
Well, but not to be a douche, but there's two arguments. You can be the best of the, like you can go to a place and go, there's not too many faces like me.
True.
Which could slow your roll. And then there's places where there's not too many faces like you and you get in because they're looking to diversify.
So you nailed it because it's both. So I remember when I made Groundlings, I got 2 comments from everybody and it stuck with me. One of them was, oh, they just needed a brown guy in Sunday Coast, so they put you in. And I was like, oh my God, no, it wasn't the fact that I had to like scrape my way here and like did it with a kid on my back. Like, no, it's because they needed a brown guy. And then the other one was from, other people that were in the group who they're like, yeah, you're good, but just so you know, because you're because you're of color, man, like you're going to have to carve your own space out. Like you got to be better than everybody else. Coming in here.
It's pretty insidious, and it worries me when we get into hard, we used to call it affirmative action. I don't know what it's called anymore. But I think the worst position you could be in, whether you're at the Groundlings Sunday Company or walking through the halls of Harvard as a black man, is having people pass you going, I bet his SATs weren't as good as the Chinese guy, but he had to be let in because that's what they're doing, which is completely nullifies you. And it may be true or may not be true. We don't know, but it's got to be a horrible feeling, sort of being the son of the guy who runs the factory, and maybe you're really kick ass at your job, and maybe you know more than everyone, but everyone's like, oh, daddy's little boy over there. It's got to be a weird life to go through.
You know, it's what's the weirdest part for me was when you became like the source of information about those things, and it's like, yeah, we want to write something where we have a black character. Josh, what do you think about that? And I'd be like, I don't know. Like I barely.
But you're the spokesman for all the black people.
That's right. Yeah. Then I put on my spokesman hat, and I thank you so much for coming here to the Josh Banday and Being Black show. That was the worst part for me. It was like the kind of pigeonholing. But luckily, I had great directors who let me really expand, which was awesome.
Who were your directors?
I had Dina. I had Drew, who was amazing. I had Navaris, who was incredible.
Well, I'm older than you. I don't remember those.
Are you? No.
I need last names. So. Yeah, because I was thinking about this because I was talking to Dr. Drew about it.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
About Groundlings?
No.
Oh.
Although I credit the Groundlings for giving me a good base.
Yes.
It's a very good place to get a base.
Yes.
You know, it's almost like the military. It's like maybe you don't want to make a career out of it, but it's a good place for a young guy to get on a schedule.
That's true.
And possibly learn something about radar.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this story. It's in the discussion of being the black guy in the Groundlings and then having to deal with people thinking, did you get there on your own merits, or is this some sort of affirmative action, and the consequences of that? We're kind of running into that now. And you see, like, oh, Biden has appointed for the head of transportation. You go, black guy, is he really good at transportation? Or are we just trying to diversify the cabinet, which is not where you want to be. Like, you don't want to think that way. But I was thinking back on a story that I haven't told in a million years on this podcast, but it really illustrated it. So when I was about 19 and living in North Hollywood and hapless, and the economy was horrible, there was no jobs and so on and so forth, then I walked to the North Hollywood Fire Department to apply for a job. I thought, I got a strong back. I'm not really scared of stuff. I'd love to be a fireman. And then I signed up, and they said, we'll get back to you in 6-7 years. We're not hiring white guys. And I was like, yeah, but I'm poor. And they were like, yeah, well, we don't care. So I had that, and I ended up going on a construction site, being a laborer, and eventually becoming a carpenter. And I worked with this dude. His name was Jeff, and he was a tall, like strapping kind of surfer guy, and he lived in Topanga. And his dream was to be a fireman. Now, this is like 6 years after I tried it, and he was much more committed to it. I showed up, filled out the paperwork. They told me, don't let the screen door hit you in the ass on the way out, and we're never going to call you. Yeah. And I was just like, fine, I'm going home. And I did. But he wanted to. So, and he volunteered at the Topanga Fire Department, and he trained and he drilled, and his dream was to be a fireman. But he's a white dude, and it's LA County, and they weren't hiring white guys. And he was always bothered by it because he had to show up at the construction site with me and all the other jackoffs. But all his dream was to be a fireman, but it was years long wait.
Wow.
So then one day we get onto this cush job, and the cush job is doing earthquake rehab for the LA County, which is a dirty, dicey, shitty job, but this pays $19.50 an hour.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good because we're used to getting like $11 or $12 an hour. That's a big bump for us. And it was this EEOC sort of city thing where you needed X amount of females and X amount of minorities and X amount of whatevers. And there was a guy named Chipper, black guy who worked on my crew, who did not know anything about construction, but they needed to balance it out racially.
Wow.
So this guy Chipper, he knew so little that he didn't have bags. He didn't have construction bags. I gave him a bag. It was a electrician's bag, which is a little bit different, just one. And then he showed up the next day with the one bag and a Gucci belt.
Nice.
He had like a dress belt.
Nice.
And he was like going to college and he's studying to be an attorney and his parents were attorneys and stuff like that. And I'm like, we're not using the system right because you're much better than me and Jeff financially, come from a better family and everything. Anyway, we did the job. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing, but I liked him. He was nice. But I got the reason he's here is to balance it out sort of racially. It's a little dangerous. Like he doesn't exactly know how to use a roto hammer and stuff, but fine. I like Chipper. He was educated and we could talk. And then years later, 25 years later, I'm doing a charity at my kid's like private school or something like that. Sitting around doing the Saturday dad thing, and I run into this black dude who looks kind of familiar, and he like comes up and he goes, "Hey, Adam." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Hi, my name's Chipper. Remember we worked Earthquake?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And he's I think successful attorney, is doing well for himself and stuff. And I was like, "Oh yeah, hey Chipper, those are fun, weird times." And he goes, "You talked to Jeff, the fireman guy?" And I said, no. And I was like, that guy was a racist.
Oh.
And I said, nah, Jeff was from Topanga, like he liked surfing and shit. No, he was a racist. And I said, really? 'Cause I knew Jeff pretty well, and we'd go to Mexico and drink beers and stuff, and I never said anything. And he was like, that guy treated me like shit, man. Wow. He was horrible to me. He was on me all the time. He's riding me all the time. And that guy's a racist. And I said, oh, Jeff didn't get to become a fireman because of the color of his skin, and then you show up and make $19 an hour with all of us who've been eating shit for years on a job site with a Gucci belt because of the color of your skin.
Right.
And Jeff reacted to that. That's what you experienced, Jeff coming down now on you because of his experience. And I thought it's a little more complicated than we're just kind of making it out to be. Like, Jeff, you can't be a fireman. Chipper, go get your repointing tool and climb up that scaffolding. Like, it's not that easy. And it creates ancillary feelings and thoughts. This guy Chipper thinks this guy Jeff was a racist this whole time, and Jeff may have been racist in that environment because of what he was dealing with. So it just made me think there's more moving parts to it than we think.
Yeah, it's super complicated. I think the quicker we get to, who likes pineapple on their pizza and separating those people out from the rest of us.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's really important that we need to focus on.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to admit I like pineapple
You
on pizza.
like it.
I always preface it by saying I'm embarrassed.
You should be.
I know.
It almost doesn't count.
I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed to say it. I don't order it straight out.
Okay.
It'll be the third pizza may be the Hawaiian style.
Okay. All right.
I won't get out of the gate with it.
I don't know if I can look at you the same way. Anyway.
I want to be upfront with you because I don't know where this relationship is going, but I don't want this. I don't want just like an albatross around my neck on our third date. We're ordering pizza.
I love that it wasn't the racial stuff. It was the pineapple that did it.
Yeah, that's
you know
did
what?
It.
I'm sorry.
So you get through the Groundlings. What is the difference? I've said to someone the other day, or someone said to me, "Oh, Second City or Improv Olympics, much better than the Grounds." I was like, I don't know. I've done a lot of them. They're all the basic, sort of, yes and not only that, but and don't deny.
Elite Hall of Famers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Like why? What was your experience between the Groundlings and Improv? Oh, sorry, Second City.
Second City. Yeah, I did do IO as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I think I did Second City's Conservatory.
Improv Olympics.
Improv Olympics. Yes, because that's the athletes of improv.
Yes.
Never. Yeah. Anyway. It's there is difference. Like, they're essentially doing the same thing. You're going up. You're doing improv, but they both have different styles. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, it's like it's what it does for the actor. So Second City was sort of like a great halfway house for actors. So it's like you're not getting gigs yet. You're just kind of spinning your wheels. You need someplace to be, perform on stage. Here you go. Here's Second City. You can get up. You can put up whatever you want. You just got to sell it to them and that whole thing. Groundlings was like, it was more of like the gauntlet. Like you got to get through. You're battling everyone around you.
Yes.
You know, until you get to the end, and then you can all, you know, pretend to be friends, but you're still. It was very, very cutthroat and very, you know, best of the best kind of thing.
Well, there's a class with 14, 16 people in it, and they're going to take 3 to move on to the next level.
Yeah.
And you're like collaborating with these people and kind of cheering them on, but how much cheering do you want to do statistically? Because I've done things where maybe 2 or 3 people out of 16 people got advanced out of that class.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cutthroat.
Did they keep, how many of those people stayed in like comedy that you remember? If you can think back to like, oh, this was a class of like, let's take like one of your, I don't know, your level 3 or whatever. Are you like, yeah, most of those people stayed in it, or like, no, a lot of those people went into like real estate?
I didn't have God, I'd have to go back and like kind of look at the roster. They're guys who just worked, but you didn't really know their name. It's a pretty high attrition level. Like the thing about comedy is, forget about the populace of the country. Even amongst those who profess to love comedy and want to do it for a living and their life is comedy, it's still a really high attrition rate because reality just sets in at some point. I went through the Groundlings, didn't make it to the Sunday show, didn't want to wait 2 years for the next advanced class, and answered an ad in a newspaper in the drama log for a group that was starting their own improv company, which turned out to be Acme Improv. So I just went and started that, essentially meaning you can't vote me out or throw me out. I'm grandfathered in.
I'm at the beginning
It's
of this,
my ball.
That's right.
I get to play. That's essentially what it was. But the caveat was, yes, but no audience and nobody knows who you are.
That is the caveat.
But you are a founding member of a group nobody gives a shit about and will not be attending or supporting any of your events. But you're here. You're on the ground floor.
Right. Congratulations.
Of a building that doesn't have a first floor. You know what I mean? You're in the basement and there's no skyscraper above you.
The plumbing is iffy in that building.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. That's what happened to me.
Okay. Yeah, I did Groundlings, and I was loving it. You know, I loved putting up sketches. I loved having that engine go in your brain, where it's like you laugh at something and then your brain goes like, wait, why was that funny? You know, or you see the Pomeranian coming down the street and you're like, could I assign a character to that Pomeranian and play it on stage? Because you have to come up with so much material. And then COVID hit and shutdown hit, and it was the week before our final show.
Oh, you're so new Groundlings. Wow.
Well, I mean, that was like 3 years ago. But
yeah, but I was like 25 years ago. So.
I'm surprised to hear that it was the same 25 years ago. Like, I thought it was very recent that it was as competitive as it is.
When I was there, and I'm saying 25 years ago, but I mean, could be more. Yeah, more. Yeah. When I was there, it was long periods from one class to the next class, long sabbaticals between beginners and writing lab and advanced or intermediate or whatever. It was just long chunks, so long that they threw you other classes.
Yeah.
You go take Mindy Cohen's class at the church over there on Highland on Saturday for free.
Yes.
I would take them all.
Yeah.
I'll just go like, fuck it, free class.
Right.
So long periods in between, and then camaraderie, but competitive camaraderie.
Yes.
And you'd sit down for that first day of class, you'd be looking at 14, 16 people, and you'd go, 12 of us ain't going to make it.
God.
And I'm not trying to figure out how many there are.
Right, and where you stand.
And where you rank in that group. And then also maybe none of us are going to make it. Like there's no guarantee they're going to push one of us forward if none of us are funny.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then there was guys I was in awe of. I was like, oh my God, this guy's so funny. He's so funny. Oh, and he can do the voices. I can't do that voice. He can do English and a Cockney, and it's like, oh, that guy's good, or that girl's good, or oh man. So there's a lot of that.
And then they don't make it. And then they get cut, and you go like, what?
Or they do make it, and 10 years goes by, and the guy's working on an unfinished furniture place, his father-in-law's place out in Baker, California. And you're like, what?
Ottomans.
That guy was so talented, so much better than I was, you know?
Yeah. Is it weird that, like, I mean, you're at the professional level you are, you know, I always had this feeling of like, if this person is that good, you know, and they're teaching like math classes at like a local high school, how come I'm succeeding? How come I'm moving forward in this particular arena and they aren't?
Because you're black.
Ah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Talking about white people.
This is Black People, White People, and Pineapple Pizza with Adam Carolla.
And you were in Murderville, which is a huge improv show. What was that like? Like, how does that show work? Being a part of it,
it is like being on Punk'd, I imagine.
Do you know the show, Adam?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Oh man, it's so funny. It's with Will Arnett.
Yeah, I love Will Arnett.
He's very funny.
Oh, I have heard of it.
Yes. So you get on a guest.
Right.
They are participating. They are a cop in a murder mystery.
Right.
TV show, but they don't have copies of the script.
Right.
And so they have to improvise their way through scenes, and at the end of it, decide who they think the murderer is.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was wild. Because we got, we kind of have our characters that we're given, and then there's no rehearsal. They just throw you into these scenes with these kind of mega stars.
Like, you were a doctor in yours, right?
Yeah. I was, yes, I was.
So what does your script look like? Like, it's just beats, and then you just...
have you been to like a murder mystery party before?
No. But
that's a surprise.
I'm aware of them.
That's very surprising to me. I haven't been to one.
We should go.
Busy eating, picking the pineapple off my pizza.
Well, it's like you go. They're like, you're a doctor, blah blah blah, and here's how you relate to the murder, right? And here's some random facts about you. And you kind of build the rest of it out, and then the star comes in, and they ask you questions, and they kind of probe you. And the real improv is you got to keep up the character and also get the information out so that, they at least have the footage to be able to cut into. Like, he did say this. He said that he loves coffee.
Right.
Something like that. When they're asking you about like your brother-in-law. My situation was different because the star had decided she knew who the murderer was already and just came in, asked nothing.
Was that Sharon Stone?
It was Sharon.
Wow.
Sharon Stone. That was one of the wildest.
Was she right?
No, she was dead wrong. Wow. It was a hot mess.
Not make a good cop.
Yeah. Not 100%. Yeah, that was nuts. So she came in, asked nothing. Me and Will had to like figure out how to get it out. Meanwhile, like blood is spurting everywhere from this body in front of us and like pooling at our feet. And it was that sticky stuff. And we're just there like, yeah, did you get the boat last week? Yes, I did. And Sharon Stone is like being a crazy German doctor. It's exactly as wild as it sounds.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do some news. Are we doing March Madness as well? I didn't see it on the screen. All right, we'll do March Madness, and we'll do news right after this. Babbel. Learning a second language in high school, for me, did not go well. I cheated off a girl that got an A, and I got a D. I suspect Mrs. Valdivia knew I was cheating. Anyway, now there's Babbel. Language learning, and it's an app, and it's sold over 10 million subscriptions, and it's addictively fun, and it's easy, and it's a new way and an easy way to learn a new language. Whether you're traveling abroad, connecting with family, or just have some free time, Babbel teaches bite-sized, 15-minute, language lessons created by over 100 language experts, not AI. Choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German, and much, much more. Plus, speech recognition technology helps you improve pronunciation and accent. 20-day money-back guarantee. It is Babbel, right, Dawson?
Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, save up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/Adam. That's babbel.com/Adam for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. In celebration of Jim Carolla's upcoming 92nd birthday, here's a list of 92 things Jim Carolla has never done. Number 37, boiled a lobster. Just one of 92 things Jim Carolla has never done. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Josh Banday is with us. The movie, I should say the TV series, Not Dead Yet, new episodes out on Wednesday on ABC, and then the Upload as well, third season premieres later this year on Amazon Prime. Website, Josh Banday's, BANDAY.com as well. We got the news. We got our brackets though for March Madness. Mocking me. This obese guy with a bizarre hairline is now getting into fashion and modeling, and he's there to torment me, and I can't take it anymore. Oh, it's you, Dawson.
I know I lost my place. Rolling Stone magazine.
I got a gift when I was 22. My Aunt Vicky, who wasn't really my aunt, who later on died and came on to me sexually at some point, got me a subscription to Rolling Stone magazine, and I loved it. Because back in 1986, Rolling Stone was Rolling Stone. It was like counterculture. It told you all the stories. It did the profiles of the rock stars. And now they've turned into some new woke, agenda-driven, misinformation pile of shit rag. And I don't know what happened. Rolling Stone, you push against the man. That's what you do. When Joe Rogan starts talking about ivermectin, then you applaud him because he's a guy who's pushing against convention. Whether it works or not, if it's safe, it's fine. But all of a sudden, you guys turned into the counterculture. You're culturing the counter and the counter of the culture and the culture of the counter. You are supposed to push back against the man. You have now become the man, and you are embracing his ball sack in your dry mouth.
Oh, boy.
Now, wait, do we pick a winner or we go right into the next one?
Let's pick the winner for this one. So, you're totally right about Rolling Stone, and also their list, whenever they come out with a list.
Oh, they do that to anger me.
Terrible.
That's just to anger me.
But DJ Khaled is an unstoppable force with you, and yeah, he keeps finding new ways to upset you.
DJ Khaled.
Yeah, I think DJ Khaled moves on.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
All right, let's go to the next round.
All right.
Next up, we return to the Classics Conference with two recurring rage inducers. The lottery versus Click It or Ticket. The lottery up first.
The lottery is ostensibly there to do two things. It's to help poor people not be poor, and it's to fund the schools so the schools won't be poor. What it really does is it helps poor people OD if they ever win the fucking lottery. But more importantly, it helps a vast, large group of poor people to part with more money that should be going toward orthodonture, should be going to getting a new 9-volt battery for the smoke detector that's in the fucking entry hall of their one-bedroom apartment, should be going to their kids' college fund, but instead, it's going to the fucking corner liquor store for a prize they're never gonna win, and if they do win, all they're gonna do is have every in-law and every family member come up there, hit them up for a fucking loan, they'll get into an argument, and they'll be statistically busted like they all are 3 years from now. Couple things. It doesn't help the kids. If it fucking helped the kids, then wire the school. Wire the school. You have the lottery. You have a Powerball for $6 billion, and the next story is the schools are underfunded. So which the fuck is it? And by the way, if I ever win a Powerball for $10 million, I want my fucking $10 million. I don't go to a fucking casino and say, put $1,000 on black 22, and they spin the roulette wheel, and I win, and they go, all right, would you like half your money back, or would you like payments of $9 a year? I say, I want my money, bitch. The fucking Powerball's $5 million. Or, by the way, don't say it's worth $5 million. If it's worth $5 million and you just pay half cash on the barrelhead, then the Powerball's $2.5 million. You're not allowed to lie and say what it fucking is. And thirdly, it takes 11 minutes and 28 seconds on average to get to. I could never endure what my car's doing to me sonically and visually for that period of time. And if there was anyone else in the car, they would fucking kick out the back window like they're in a cop car and dive out of it and cartwheel onto the fucking asphalt, overhearing that chime anymore. So by the time I get to the freeway sign that's 4 miles down the freeway that says click it or ticket, it's completely moot. It should be sold to Pepsi. It should be sold to Coca-Cola. It should be sold to Delta Airlines. Charge them millions of dollars. Delta Airlines, you're in charge of signs. We have 2,000 signs. We're going to charge you $2 billion a year for your logo up on that sign, and every cent of that money will go to cleaning up the garbage and the graffiti and the shopping carts that festoon the side of the LA freeway.
Oh, wow. You're right. You're right. The beeping on the car, it's almost a siren.
They've gotten so aggressive now that I'm always like, I show up a little pie in the sky, like I'm just gonna back out of the garage.
No,
I'll get down to the end of the driveway, and it's like I gotta stop mid driveway. I can't take this anymore.
No,
it's too much.
It's like they send in the muscle. Hey, fuck you doing? Put on your fucking seatbelt. And you're like, whoa, hey, Jesus.
I thought we're friends.
Yeah, I thought we were cool.
I pay your lease.
You shut the fuck up. You put the seatbelt. You're like, whoa, all right, car. But you're a Prius, first of all.
Yeah,
you can't talk to me like that. Jeez.
That's right. I had you washed the other day.
That's right.
I put air in your tires. I thought we had a relationship here, Prius.
Something nice, Prius.
No, you can't do it. So by the time you get to the sign, it's either you've committed to a lifestyle where you will not do it, or your brain is more reptilian than it is mammalian, and you can just... You can lay there like an iguana would lay under a smoke detector and sleep like a baby.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
But I did love the roulette analogy with the lottery and winning in roulette and how they pay you and why they don't pay you right away. Or you can't just go to a casino and win and then they charge you. We'll pay you $9 a year.
Right.
So
I like the use of the word festoon. I haven't heard that in 20, 30 years. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty solid.
So between the lottery and click it or ticket, who do you think moves on?
Oh,
Josh?
it's gotta be the damn click it or ticket.
Right.
I don't know how it made me as angry as it did in these last 1.5 minutes.
You didn't even realize it was happening.
And now I'm furious.
That's my job.
Right.
Give me song lyrics on that thing. I don't know.
We got to get hold of DJ Khaled for that.
Click it or ticket, and DJ Khaled will move on. Tune in tomorrow for more March Madness action from the pop culture and big government conferences tomorrow on March Madness.
All right. Should we do a little news in here?
Yeah, let's go. All right. So speaking of Rolling Stone that we're talking about, there's another publication that definitely changed its ways over the years and then eventually shuttered in 2020 and ceased printing, and that's Playboy. So I don't know if you remember, but yeah, Playboy was another COVID
really?
result. I mean, not really a COVID thing, but in 2020 and when things shut down, it's a bad business.
It was Pornhub is what did that, man.
It's Pornhub and OnlyFans and all that. Well, so Playboy is still now they're relaunching, but they're doing
an app. What are they doing?
Well, yeah, digitally.
No.
That's right.
Oh.
And they're trying to take on OnlyFans. So they're creating a creator platform, which will be like an elevated, safe, and exclusive alternate to OnlyFans. So instead of Playboy bunnies, you're gonna have Playboy creators.
Oh my!
Yeah, so they're gonna give it to the internet and just go, hey, you guys make the content now, and we'll put the Playboy name on it. They're getting rid of the name Centerfold, and so this is gonna be their new thing now. They're gonna create a competitor to OnlyFans.
I'm sort of like, I always kind of talk about this, which is Playboy may be defunct and bankrupt and whatever, but there's intellectual property There's a value to their name. Like Bugatti stopped making cars for a long time. So in a way, Bugatti was worthless because Bugatti didn't make cars or have a car factory. But the Bugatti name, when it was resurrected and done right, had value. It had value before that.
Yes, the brand.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. It's like, I wonder what it would cost you to just go, I want the brand name, I want the rights to Playboy, even if Playboy doesn't have buildings or mansions or employees or anything. And so what they're doing is they're just sort of banking on that. I like living in a world where there's a Playboy.
I feel like there needs to be. There was something about kind of like the mystique around it and the wealth around it. For some reason, like Silicon Valley Playboy really rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, I'm not sure what Steve Jobs knows about, tantalizing the teenage boy in all of us that was hiding those under his bed. But it just is something about that doesn't click, for me at least. I don't know. It just shouldn't exist. It's too trendy for what Playboy is. It's sort of like, someone walking around in like it's like a coat check at a strip club. Like why? It doesn't quite compute.
You brought up Silicon Valley, and then there was silicone tits, fake tits. That was the end of Playboy. For me, I was like, it's become a Silicon Valley in between those titties. And I don't approve.
It's almost poetic.
Because here's the thing. Playboy is, first off, it was the girl next door. Did the girl next door have fake titties? No. I don't remember growing up next to her. Not in my neighborhood.
No.
Number one. Number two, your job is to find the hottest chicks on the planet and convince them to get nude so I can look at them naked. This has got to be God-given talent. It can't be from the surgeon's knife.
Yes.
I want natural beauty. And Playboy and the best iconic playmates they ever had were the natural beauties. When they got into fake titties, that's a deal with the devil.
Yes.
Like now playing God.
Now everybody in your magazine is going to have at least the C cup, but they're fake titties, and this wasn't the mission statement.
It hits different. There's a lie inherent in this whole thing.
Yeah, they're performing enhancing drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want a pure game here.
Now we got McGuire and what's his name?
Sosa.
Sosa.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sosa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure, it's great. It's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. Yeah.
Now, and Playboy actually is like retro, like Hugh Hefner when they do that, after dark, it'd be smoking a pipe. He's got the tuxedo on. They're playing jazz. They're drinking a highball. Like it was that. That's how it was supposed to be. That's the vibe.
Elevated.
Yes, elevated. Yeah.
What is that in the modern era? Like, who is that for today's? Who's like the most interesting man? You know what I mean? Like, is there a Hugh Hefner equivalent? Can there be for today's audience? Does that exist?
Well, ironically, the most interesting man in the world is one of the worst interviews I've ever done on this podcast.
God, really?
Yes, he was the least interesting guy in the world. And his wife, he was totally pussy whipped.
Yes.
And his fucking wife was so worried that he'd lose that sweet Dos Equis fucking mailbox money.
He's got to have it, man.
And she was like looking at him the whole time like, he can't talk about that.
She
like
insisted to sit in the studio while we were doing the interview.
Yes.
And anytime you would ask him a question, he would look at her first and she would just shake her head or nod yes if he was able to answer, and then he would go on to answer.
Yeah, the most interesting man in the world was P-Whip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's just
you don't want to lose that deal.
I know.
get it.
opposite of what his branding
It's
is.
like it's like finding out the Marlboro Man was gay. It's basically.
I mean, these cigarettes are just incredible. That's why they don't let him talk. Because,
no, he just looks interesting.
Have you seen my Palomino? He's gorgeous. His name is Jerry.
Weirdly, but I associate Bill Maher with Playboy because he loved Playboy. He loved the Playboy parties, and I used to go do Bill Maher's show when it was politically incorrect.
At the mansion?
Once a year, he'd do it at the mansion, and I was always in on that show. And I sort of think of him as the last vestige of Playboy, or a guy. He doesn't have kids, doesn't have a wife. He does whatever the fuck he wants. He's got his own compound. He's sort of freewheeling. He's, kind of liberal, but also kind of practical at the same time. Likes a doobie, likes a drink.
Yeah.
I just think of Bill Maher when I think of Playboy.
Well, and Bill Maher is he's not today's man anymore. I don't think, even his the commentary is we're pulling it out of Bill Maher. But I think about is Playboy going to go the road of, because it's vintage, we eventually get the museum of play, it becomes this artifact that we study. Mm-hmm. Way back when you couldn't just look at your phone and see, all the genitalia you've ever wanted in your life.
Yeah.
Here was this thing that really used to be limited. And then we end up having we have purists that'll come around and be like, yeah, I really only like the 70s because there's a different boob in the 70s.
These are the guys who insist on listening to vinyl records.
That's exactly right.
They'll be Playboy.
That's right.
What's a Playboy Mansion like?
The Playboy Mansion is sort of it's like everything when you see it in person. It's disappointing. Mm-hmm. The fact that I was there made its stock go down, in my mind. The real estate just went down 21% because I'm fucking standing in the living room, and that should have never happened. Because I grew up, the best issue ever was the Playboy Olympics issue, where they'd have Bill Cosby, and he'd be emceeing, and they'd have the bunnies doing the roller boogie around the tennis court, and then they'd show them in the game room. They had a big game room, and then to the grotto, and then they'd have the Olympics where she's going over the inflatable hurdle and the titties out.
The best
and
party
it's
24/7.
Yes.
Right. So the grounds of the Playboy Mansion are spectacular. Homely Hills, acreage. You'd stand in the backyard and there'd be a peacock at the top branch of a 47-foot high oak tree, and something how the fuck's that peacock? I never see peacocks fly.
Yeah.
But they're up there.
They can get up there, yeah.
They get up there, but they don't let you see them fly. They wait till you look somewhere, and then they go up the branch. But you look at them walking around the ground, and then you go get a beer, and you come back, and it's up on a branch that's 40 feet above the ground.
That's true.
They're just fucking with it.
Monkey cage, everything in the back, everything. Grotto. The grounds are amazing. The house is dated, and it's a time capsule. The game room is bad orange, rust-colored shag carpet, and 70s, paneling and shit. It's weird kind of time capsule-y. But yeah, there's good times to be had there.
Did your parents ever find your stash? Did you ever get caught?
I didn't. My dad didn't have any Playboys that I was able to find. I would look for my neighbors who I would babysit. I would find their stash, and I would look at their stuff. And then I had a gay pamphlet called Cult Roundup that somebody gave me as a goof, I think.
Are you sure it wasn't an advertisement? Was it a resort sort of situation? What is a pamphlet?
It was pocket porn or something.
Information.
No, I just mean, I think they you could slip it in your back pocket
Porn
and
on
walk
the
in
go.
Yes.
And it was just dudes named Toby and and some of the guys had their dicks out, and some just had headshots, which I was always kind of amused by, and one guy kind of looked like Dave Coulier, I remember.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Is that called Cult Roundup? Yeah.
Let's round up the Gay Western and Rodeo magazine.
This wasn't it, but somebody gave it to me as a goof, and I was like, I can't throw away pornography, and it brought me a lot of joy because I would stare at the guys who had just the headshot. And I was like, you think you're so hot that I don't get to see your cock?
Yeah,
That's what I remember. That's what I remember thinking. And I did slide it under a cushion in a chair that was in my room, and I think I remember it was moved or something.
Oh, that's it. The sneaky.
Now it's not. My dad found porn, but he thinks I'm gay at this point, which I'm not. I just thought it was funny.
Right.
So
I can't throw away. It's you're at a restaurant and you're like, well, I might eat this pizza tomorrow. I feel bad. Somebody made it.
Well,
They went through the effort.
no, but this would be the analogy wouldn't be at a restaurant. It'd be like on a desert island, and you caught a fish, and you ate the fillet of the fish, and then the guy you're trapped with, like, let's just throw the rest of the fish away. And you're like, fuck, no, we're not.
No.
I'll eat the fucking eyeballs. Like, well, you understand? We could be here for months.
We're in the desert.
We're in the desert. We're on a... No, you're not throwing away any of that fish. That's how I felt with porn.
I got big time caught.
Oh, really?
Big time caught.
How'd that go?
It was great. So I come home one day from tennis and I shower off and I'm like, cool. You know, everything's copacetic. And then
High school?
High school. Yeah, high school. Early high school too. And I am walking through my room and I see that it's just ajar from underneath the bed, the shoebox. And I'm like, oh my God, I must have forgotten, earlier. And I go through it. The Playboys are still there.
The shoebox is ajar.
It is a jar.
Not a jar
Not a
next
jar.
to it.
Not a jar.
That's their shoebox.
That's a very different situation.
Right,
It was
yes.
not quite that deranged.
Filled
but
with liver.
it's true.
Yes.
But so I'm looking through. I'm like, okay. I get the call from downstairs. Josh, come down here. I go down. I remember looking through the door of my living room, and I'm getting the talk of just like, listen, you need to understand that this is bad for your brain. And
Is this mom and dad?
This is mom and dad.
Wow.
And I'm like, I understand that. It was just something a friend gave me, found it on the basketball court, whatever. And they're like, listen, we want you in here. We really need to have a discussion about this. Come and sit down. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Whatever you guys want to do, I'll figure it out. And I walk into the room and I see my aunt and my other aunt and my cousin and my other cousin and my little sister. And
Porn-tervention.
Yes.
it was a porn-tervention. And
Oh
they
my
were
God.
all there. And I had thought it was just like my stomach dropped out of my body and ran away on the floor. It was the most insane just inquisition after that. The odd thing was, I had both. I had Playboy and I had Playgirl. And
That's that where the trouble.
that's where I thought it was going to be. And I was like, oh, this is the talk I'm getting. Okay, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I'm going to get some answers. They just talked about women. And then when I went back to the stash, the Playgirl was missing. So I'm like, there was a discussion that was had where they're like, we got to get rid of this one.
Right.
But for the community, they probably only got one part of that story.
Oh my God.
It was wild.
And had you come out as bisexual to your parents?
No, I didn't even know what the word was.
Okay.
I was still trying to. I thought you had to like pick a team and a jersey.
Right.
And so I was just ready to be like, okay, this is the one. I don't know. I just watched Neverending Story, and Atreus looking pretty good. Okay, here is this person. It was this back and forth tennis match of like trying to figure out which one I was, and then tried to come out to people, and every time I did, they'd be like, "No, you're not." And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh, I guess I'm not. Yeah.
I come out to gay friends and be like, I think, I kind of like both. They'd be like, no, that's not cool.
I don't know what the instinct is too. It's like, oh, we found this Playgirl. Let's alert everybody we know and invite them over. Like, why?
It was the whole group.
I would
what is
have
that
never
instinct?
supported that meeting at all.
We had
Like,
pizza bagels.
if my sister called me when my nephew was like 14, was like, I need you to come by now. I'd
you
be like,
do
are
it?
you fucking nuts? No, not a billion years. By the
not
way,
normal.
I'm beating off. Do you mind? Can we talk about this
In the
in my
middle.
refractory
You have to call me
period?
at
I'm at the
hour?
countdown right now. I
I'm
need you to.
mid-stroke. Yes. I can't believe it. I mean, your family must have been religious.
They were LA spiritual.
That is what does that mean?
Yeah. So they're like the children of a church. They were pastors' kids. My mom was a pastor's kid.
Oh, this
Right.
explains a lot.
Does it really?
Listen, I know when you're from a family,
Yeah.
and that family has certain rituals that they seem matter of fact to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you, this is the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my God, really?
Oh, super weird. This is up there with like molestation and Santeria.
Yes.
The fact that you went that deep onto the bench of family members
Yes.
to be sitting there because a 15 8.5-year-old kid had a
Yeah.
Playboy under his bed. That's insane.
I think it was like a scorched earth policy where
Yeah.
they were just like, maybe if we bring in the heavy, it'll just eliminate the problem on the whole. Like,
Wow.
You know what I mean? It did not work.
No.
Still, like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yes, you're
You
a
know?
sexual deviant mess, of
It was
course.
horrendous.
Oh my God. I mean, how many people in the room?
I'm going to say like at least 8.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah, I'm going to say at least 8.
7 too many.
God. Oh my God.
Very public. Yeah, it was amazing.
All right. Well, you earned a plug, my friend.
Let's go.
Yes, Not Dead Yet, of course, and upload as well. And the website, joshbanday.com.
By the way, Not Dead Yet, ABC's most watched comedy debut in nearly 4 years.
7.6 million
Thank
in a
you.
world where people aren't watching as much
Yeah.
of the alphabet channels anymore. So congratulations on that. Come back anytime.
Thank
You
you.
like Josh. It's been fun. We're going to come back with Scott Adkins, who is in John Wick 4 and plays a really cool character stuntman guy. Well, action actor. You've seen him in a million things. We'll do that right after this.
All righty.
I don't know why razors cost so much, and it's not even the money out here in LA. They're locked up in cages because we've turned into animals. And speaking of animals, you're hairy. You got to get a Harry's razor, and you gotta scrub that scruff away. Harry's razors, incredibly sharp, made in their own factory in Germany, as little as $2 per blade, delivered straight to your door. That's the part. You don't have to go get the guy with the key ring so you can pull it out of the shark cage. Get a quality shave without the hassle. The Truman Shave Trial Set, a $15 value for just $3 at harrys.com/Adam, includes a 5-blade German-engineered razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover as well. Plus, schedule replacement blade delivery wherever you need them with refills as low as $2. Highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. Don't like your shave? Well, then it'll be on them, but you're going to love Harry's, right, Dawson?
Don't get overcharged for razors. Get Harry's. Get a $15 Truman Shave trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Adam. That's harrys.com/Adam for a $3 trial set.
Back with action star Scott Adkins. Scott's in John Wick 4, or Chapter 4, I should say. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
That's pretty good, right?
Pretty damn good for not only an action film, which sometimes they round down on, but fourth installment.
Well, how did 8% get it wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, surely it's 100%. Let me tell you, I saw the movie in London at the premiere, and obviously I'm in it and I'm biased. Mm-hmm. And I know a thing or two about action films, I like to think.
Sure.
And halfway through the film, my jaw's on the floor, and I suddenly realized that I'm in one of the greatest action films ever made.
That's got to be, especially growing
I'm
up.
not joking.
I listen, I haven't seen it. I'll take your word for it. You're in Zero Dark 30, Bourne Ultimatum, Doctor Strange, Expendables 2. And you're like a hometown hero, right, at this point, because you're back in your motherland watching this thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know about Hometown Hero.
I tried.
Yeah. Do you know, I get recognized more in places like the Middle East and Eastern Europe, less so in America or my own country.
So you start off, you come from a family of butchers. Is that true?
Yes.
Sounds-
Fourth generation, I would have been. Dad tried to get me into the business, but I wasn't having it.
Yeah, that would be a tough sell for me too, but good perks, right? You're eating top sirloin every night?
Yeah, always had some great meat to eat. But the thing is, if like Dad would bring home the meat, and sometimes you'd get a not very good piece of meat, and that wouldn't be a good, enjoyable, dinner table experience because he'd get pretty grumpy about it.
Right, because if he got it at the grocery store, you could just attack the grocery store.
But
if he got it from his work.
If he's got meat that's a bit tough, it's not as good. He's got to go and sell it. It would put him in a bad mood.
Yeah, so like you're in a house and the roof is leaking and your dad's a roofer and he did the roof.
Exactly.
Because normally you could just call the roofer son of a bitch, but he's sitting across the table.
It's like, God damn it, I'm shit.
So you start off early with martial arts, right?
Yeah, 10 years old.
Because you saw Bruce Lee or...
Well, no, my dad and my brother did judo, my older brother, and I just went along because it was something to do and they were doing it. But then I discovered Bruce Lee and other things, and we stopped judo and I started taekwondo. They didn't. I did. I stayed, continued to do it. Always been training, never stopped.
Do you know who Benny the Jet Urquidez is?
I do.
I figured you'd know that name. I
That's
don't
the
ask
most
all the guests that.
incredible back kick. The best back kick you'll ever see belongs to Benny the Jet Urquidez.
He would tell stories. So I used to train kickboxing at the Jet Center,
Yes.
which was his place
Yeah.
in Van Nuys, California, damaged by an earthquake, I think, at some point.
It's not there now, right?
I don't think so,
Yeah.
but his brother-in-law, Blinky, was
Okay.
there, and his sister, Lily. They're a real tough group,
Absolutely.
this group. And Benny was these stories of like going to Thailand to do a death match and stuff like that. Like it was really crazy
Like
shit.
actual blood sport.
Yeah, it was that kind of stuff. But he was like 80-0 or something.
my
Like he had
gosh.
a crazy kickboxing record amassed and was considered sort of the godfather of that. But
Yeah, well, one of the best fighters you'll ever be able to watch.
do we have Benny the Jet Urquidez doing his back kick?
Yeah, he's going to do. You can.
Oh,
yeah.
a spinning
that.
back kick. Yeah, nice.
Oh, and then that throw. Amazing.
Nicest guy in the world, by the way. But I guess you can be nice when you can beat everyone up.
Back in the days when you used to be able to wear kickboxing trousers.
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah, Benny. Well, it was so funny. Like at the beginning of mixed martial arts, we didn't really have rules. So guys would show up in gis, other guys would show up in a Speedo, some guys would show up in a toga or something.
I go
that
drenched
was-
in Vaseline.
It
Yes.
was like blood sport back in the day, wasn't it? It was like the karate guy is going to fight the wrestler, and this start judo versus jiu-jitsu, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I guess people figured out that maybe the gi turned into a handle at some point, and
Yeah. Well, they can use it to choke
they
you
also
out with.
can use the gi to choke. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a weapon. It's like a gun. You got to try to wrestle it away from the guy.
Yeah,
So
some guys would want the boxing shoes on, and other guys would want to be barefoot, and
Yeah.
some of the guys would want the kickboxing trousers on.
So you get deep into the martial arts world early.
Yeah, 10 years old. It's been my life. I don't know. I'm very fortunate that from a very early age, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make action films, martial arts films, and be a martial artist. So
But then at some point, acting has to come in on top of the
it kind
training.
of was there at the beginning, you see, because I'm watching Bruce Lee and I'm watching Van Damme, and the whole thing was, together. Like I want to do what those guys do, Jackie Chan. So yeah, I always knew specifically, I want to get into the film business and be a martial arts film actor.
How I know Keanu Reeves a little bit.
Yeah,
He's a very nice guy.
he is.
I like him. He sometimes has a little musk.
That's not been my experience.
I would think if you were in that proximity.
Everybody stank on that movie, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm sure, well,
Especially me.
Adam, you've only seen Keanu when he's racing motorcycles in the leather get-ups and everything. So I mean, there's not a lot of breathing. In
This is
his
we were
outfit.
doing a car race in this particular
Oh, yeah.
instance, and
Same thing,
we had
the
a
fire
nice
suit.
bit of downtime in a trailer, just talking.
Well, speaking
Yeah,
of
he'd been
Musk,
sweating.
speaking of Musk on the set, so I was really excited to hear that Scott was in John Wick 4 because I mean, action superstar. And then I go and see what he looks like in John Wick 4, and he's wearing a fat suit. Like,
Yeah, you don't know about this.
No,
Yeah, that's why I stank.
wow.
I sweated that thing through.
I don't think you can say fat suit anymore.
oh, well, he's wearing a bulk suit.
All right, there we go.
Wow, that's you.
Yeah.
Do we
That
have
is me.
do you have a clip to play?
The Killer Hakan.
Yeah. So can you set this clip up? Scott,
Well, I play Killer Harkan, who is the head of the German table, and John Wick is sent to come and see me to snuff me out in order to get further along on his quest. And I'm sat down with Donnie Yen and Shamir Anderson, who are other colourful characters from the John Wick universe, and this is the scene.
All right, let's watch it.
So, you want to kill him? You want to kill him? I want to kill him. What about you, Mr. Vic?
I'm going to kill you.
Oh, for better, of course, yeah. But it looks like we have ourselves a genuine conundrum. A quandary, if you will. A real-life dilemma. So, I thought we play a game. One hand. The winner decides who lives and who does not.
Wow.
menacing.
That's crazy.
Menacing but jolly all at the same time.
Yeah, I love it. Was that card trick first try?
Do you know what? Every take, we got the card trick right, except for when the camera went behind me. But when it was on me there, every take I did it, and I didn't even look at the card. I was looking straight at Reeves.
Wow.
No catch. The
Yeah.
ace of spades perfectly lined
Don't
up.
ask me to do it now.
How
That was summer 21.
How long in makeup did you have to be for the
Yeah,
husky
3.5
suit?
hours, and then an hour to take it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy what they can do with prosthetics. But also,
Yeah.
I mean, you're known for martial arts and action and everything. So how did you get the nod for the character with the German accent in the husky suit?
I've known the director, Chad Stahelski, for a while. I've worked with him before. He's been a second unit director in the past. And I don't know why he felt that I could pull it off, but I guess he's seen me do some character work in the past, and he took a leap of faith. And, I've been asking him from John Wick 1 to give me a role, and then eventually John Wick 4, he gives me a call, and he's like, do you want to be in it? I'm like, of course I do. The films are amazing. He says, well, there's just one catch. This is my idea for the character, and, he's in a fat suit. The inspiration was the guy from Casablanca, Signor Ferrari, and also mixed with Sammo Hung, who's this bigger sort of Hong Kong movie action legend. And his initial inspiration was the first time you see Sammo Hung in Enter the Dragon. Bruce Lee's fighting at the beginning in the Shaolin monk bit. He's fighting this bigger guy, and then he starts doing backflips, the bigger guy does, and you're like, how the hell's that happening? I wasn't expecting that. That was kind of the inspiration for Chad. So I've ruined it now. Spoiler alert, I end up fighting.
Oh, it's awesome. How is it fighting in a fat suit?
Not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I first put the fat suit on, I thought, you know what, it's not that bad. But then by the time you get to the end of the week, and you've been fighting John Wick in the rain, in the club, it starts to aggravate the lower back, for sure.
You must have bulked up. It's like wearing ankle weights while doing your kicks and stuff.
Well, the best thing was I didn't have to watch my diet, so I was just going out in Berlin, eating whatever I wanted.
And also it's the call time, man, because your call, the worst part about any production is the call time. The call times, 7 a.m., 6:45, whatever. But if you got to do 3.5 hours worth of prosthetics.
First in, last to leave. And it's all night shoots as well, the John Wick movies.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, not easy.
Yeah.
Didn't get much vitamin D, especially through that suit.
And I saw in the trailer, I saw a little bit of the fight scene, just flash it real quick. And you're fighting in the midst of a crowd.
It's an amazing set that they've built for this movie. It's like, it's a club and it's 3 floors. And at the top, you've got like a waterfall. And the water parts as people come through it. And then it cascades off the side like this. And then by the time you get down to the 3rd floor, you're literally in this club, but it's raining inside this club. And there's fans and lights, and the cinematography is just so impressive by Dan Louston, and the production design. It's every shot of this movie just looks incredible.
Yeah.
Where'd you shoot it?
I shot in Berlin, but they went to Paris and some other places.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
They built that for this movie. That's amazing. So I want to talk about the director Chad Stahelski, who you've worked with, Adam. So Chad was the fill-in stunt man or the double for Brandon Lee in The Crow.
Right.
So that whole Crow thing happened when he was working on the set. So and then he goes on and directs all 4 of these John Wick movies. And now he's recently said, I don't see any reason for a real gun to be used on set. Mm-hmm. Like it's all, we have CGI, we have prop guns. And John Wick, they do the gun fu, right? He does a lot of close range gunfighting. So I just want to get your thoughts. Do you agree with that?
I mean, you can't do the John Wick stuff with a real blank firing weapon because you're doing the headshots, right? But I feel that there is a place for the real guns with the blanks in. I mean, obviously, there's been terrible things that have happened in the past, and we have to do our best to avoid that, of course. But there's no substitute for seeing the real thing with the gunpowder, in my opinion. But I'm a big fan of those old John Woo movies anyway. But certainly you couldn't do what's happening in the John Wick film safely, so you wouldn't do it at that point. But I think there is, space to do it the way it used to be done, if you can.
Well, you're a guy who would know the answer to this. When this whole Rust, Alec Baldwin thing went down, half the people are saying it's not Baldwin's fault. The other half go, he should have checked the gun. I'm like, who checks the gun?
Right? I'm English. I'm no expert. We don't have guns in England. I haven't got a clue. Somebody comes, first time I got onto a movie set, the armourer hands me the gun. And if he says it's empty, I'm not trained in weapons anyway. I'm just going to go, okay, well, he knows what he's doing. That's his job. I'll take his word for it. Now, I've done enough films to know, well, I better check the gun myself. But I remember back in the day when I started, I didn't check. I just took the guy's word for it because he's the professional.
Right.
An actor shouldn't be responsible for that sort of thing. We're stupid.
Yeah, I was saying actors really shouldn't be responsible even for their own kids sometimes.
Exactly. So don't put that pressure on us.
Yes, I concur. I always thought that was sort of dubious that, they would go, well, you never point the gun at a person. You never squeeze the trigger. It's like, well, you do if that's what the script says you do, and the armor hands you the gun and says it's cold. Or
it could be a scene where you're holding the gun to the guy's head and you pull the trigger and they're going to do a CG muzzle flash.
There was a Brandon Lee thing, and then there was also a bizarre death on a set with a gun, which was a model actor named John Eric Hexton, I think. And he had a gun. You know the story? Does anyone know the story? It's worth looking up. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's kind of macabre, but he was this beautiful looking guy, was this like model, and he was getting into acting, and he was on a set, and he had a blank gun, and he put it to his temple, to his head, and he squeezed the trigger as, I think, kind of a goof. Like, this is a blank, but the concussion of it killed him.
That'll shatter your...
Yeah, and a bizarre... I remember very clearly... Look at this guy. How good looking is this dude? I remember very clearly when I took the Universal Studio tour... Wow, he is good looking. A little greased up there. But someone can find this story, probably circa 1979, 1980. But the old Universal Studios tour, back when they didn't have any of the shit they have now, the Minions roller coaster or whatever it is, they just had a tour, and they would just drive you in a tram, and they'd go, that house up on the hill, that's where they did Psycho, and that's... McLeod's horse or something. Like they didn't really have anything. They do like a little stunt show with the Western, and a guy'd fall off the roof onto the airbag or whatever. But I remember that a guy took a gun, like a 6-shooter with a blank in it or nothing in it, but he said, these aren't toys. And he took the gun, the stuntman on the tour, and he held it up to like an aluminum Coors can, and he just put it on the end, and he pulled the trigger, and it shredded the can, just the concussion, shredded it. Yeah, on the set, 1984 TV series called cover-up. He was fooling around.
Yeah.
And he killed himself with the gun that had a blank in it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we shouldn't bother anymore if you can get away with it. What I noticed working on the John Wick movie was their gas-powered guns. Mm-hmm. They were very powerful in terms of how the chamber came back, and it would give you a little bit of a jolt.
Kickback.
Kickback. So some of the guns that I've used that are the same on some other movies don't do that as powerfully. And sometimes that's a giveaway. But I think one of the other things that is a real giveaway in movies, you know, they fire the Zerk hits or the dust pellet hits, and it hits around you, and that makes the actor, like, you know, flinch in a really realistic way. Now they can just put CGI bullet hits, right? But if the actor's not flinching in that way, it's a dead giveaway. So I think you've got to try and combine the two. Right. But even those can, you know, if they hit you in the face, it's going to hurt. It's like paintball.
Did Keanu try to sell you a motorcycle?
I was hoping he'd just give me one.
It would be nice.
Like he does for the stunt guys. All the stunt guys got Rolexes on this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You should have been a stunt guy.
Well, yeah, because he gave me a lovely engraved axe. All my men have got these axes, and he had it engraved for me, and he gave that to me as a present. And I was like, where's my Rolex, man? No, I did appreciate it, really.
Did you get to keep the grill at least?
They sent me the grill when I was doing ADR.
The teeth.
Yeah, in England, they sent them
to
through.
do
I had to stick them
ADR.
back in. I hadn't worn them for about, I don't know, 16 months. They stank as well.
Oh, I'm sure they.
So for you, you want to direct? You want to write? Do you want, and what's the next project? What's coming up?
I have written. I've got 2 films called Accident Man 1 and 2, which was a passion project of mine. It was a comic book that I had when I was a kid, and I adapted that and produced that.
I just read something that those have the best fight scenes in like recent memory.
We just won an award for best fight sequence for Accident Man 2.
Congrats.
But I'd like to direct in the future. Yeah, it's finding the right project, because I guess I'm going to have to be in it as well as direct it in order to get the financing. Right. And it's hard enough when you're doing action films anyway. I'm absolutely knackered all the time on the set anyway, and now I'm going to direct on top of it. I'd kind of like to want to give myself a fighting chance to be good.
Any thoughts about comedy?
I'm open to it. I've done a little bit. Yeah, I mean, this is like comic relief in John Wick 4, to be honest. And I'm not even sure the director was planning on that, but that's how it turned out.
Right.
And everyone seems happy with it.
Well, fight scenes with comedy are great too. I mean, like Jackie Chan would do it a lot. He would punch somebody and then he'd shake his hand like he got hurt. Like he would constantly do things that made it seem a little more realistic in the fight scene rather than just
the best 2 Jackie Chan fights, by the way, with Benny the Jet.
Oh, really?
In my opinion.
What movies?
Wheels on Meals and Dragons Forever.
Benny the Jet Urquidez was in those and fighting Jackie.
With Jackie, yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
And that's probably a guy who could go kick for kick with Jackie.
Yeah, well, they had quite a bit of animosity on set, apparently.
Oh,
Jackie
really?
was winding him up, saying, I'm going to fight you after this, for real. And Benny's like, yeah, all right, come on then. And so they're really going at each other in the fight as well. You can kind of tell.
Yeah, I don't see how you could possibly intimidate Benny the Jet from a martial arts fight. I mean, even though it's Jackie Chan, that guy's been in death matches and shit in Asia.
You should be afraid of nothing at this point.
I don't think so, but
he hits him at the end of this fight for real. Jackie does. Yeah. This is the beginning, but if you go to the end and see the punches that start coming Benny's way, this bit and just a bit back before that.
Wow, you are a student of this.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I analyze this.
Yeah,
stuff.
they're throwing down. Yeah, that is Benny the Jet Urquidez.
Bosh.
Oh, yeah.
That's contact.
Yeah. Although Benny's probably pretty used to being punched.
Yeah, he was probably like, "Come on, give me your best shot."
Oh, I got to tell you, he was a maniac at that gym, and his brother-in-law Blinky was the sadist. Like his sister, I don't know, is Benny the Jet's sister Lily Urquidez? But you'd be doing, planking or something, and he'd just come punch you in the stomach and everything. I mean, they didn't really have so many rules back then about
Those
how
were
to
the
treat
days.
students. Yeah. Like, their whole point is they're just going to kick the shit out of you. Lily Rodriguez is his sister, but not Urquidez.
Maybe she married or something.
She married Blinky, the other badass kickboxer guy. It was an interesting time. I don't know where kickboxing is today.
Well, it's MMA now, isn't
Yes.
it? That's where the money is.
I think it
It's
is.
still K1 apparently. I don't
Oh,
watch
really?
it, but that's still going.
You watch MMA?
I watched MMA UFC. My friend Leon Edwards is fighting because we're from the same town. He's fighting Kamaru Usman on Saturday.
Oh, they're doing the second fight, right?
Yeah, in the third fight actually.
Oh, the
in
third.
London.
That's right. Yeah. So Leon was down most of the second fight and then just landed a kick, right?
Yeah. Now he's saying because it was at Salt Lake City the fight, and Usman trains in Colorado, so he's used to high elevation. Leon trains Birmingham, England, so
Right.
he's not.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that was a factor, and he didn't have the same energy levels that he would normally have.
Yeah. Well, Usman's a phenom.
Yeah, but so is Leon.
Well, obviously, if you're going to knock a phenom out,
The only guy to defeat Leon last was Usman in their first fight.
oh man, who's the favorite in this fight then?
I mean, because of the way the fight went, I think a lot of people are saying Usman, but I'm just hoping that it was an elevation thing. Well, let's see. Obviously, I'm rooting for Leon because he's a mate of mine.
Yeah, he's recognized in your hometown.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You,
he is.
not
yeah.
so much.
There's a mural and everything to him.
Really?
I'm like, where's mine?
Yeah, it was a crazy fight where Usman was winning the whole fight, and Leon wasn't able to get off on him, and then just kicked him right in the head.
Yeah.
Which is
But
crazy.
they set it up. He set it up.
Yeah, that's the way. I mean, that's the beauty of mixed martial arts, right? You're never really
Yeah.
out of it.
I mean, before this, Usman was all over him, except because the first round, Leon did really well, took him down, took his back, almost got a choke in. Rounds 2, 3, 4, it was all Usman because he was all over him, but he gave him the space there. So he's probably not going to do that again.
Yeah, this is going to be a killer. Where are you watching it?
Well, I'm going to be here in LA, so I've got to make sure I can get somewhere to watch it.
Did you watch the John Jones fight?
I did. Amazing.
It's crazy.
Just incredible.
It's a crazy. My only
Made it look
note
easy.
is he needs to get some heavyweight shorts. He's wearing the same shorts he wore
That's
205.
his style, man. That's his style.
They worked great when he was 205.
He likes
Now
to show off those thin legs.
he's 255 now. He's got to get a slightly bigger set of shorts. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, we choked him out in a minute and 57 seconds or something, right?
Just made it look easy.
He made it look easy.
And I think that was probably a tougher fight than the one he was going to have with Francis Ngannou. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, he's a big guy, hits hard, but his wrestling is... He's not known for his wrestling either, yeah, so...
Yeah, but he's upped his game. I mean, he improved a lot.
Yeah, but still, you know, John Jones is a great wrestler, isn't he?
Well, I think what we're talking about is it's really hard to overcome athleticism. Like if you're fighting a guy who has balance. So balance is kind of God-given. And John Jones has extreme balance. And no one really talks about balance. They kind of talk about striking and wrestling or grappling or whatever. But if you watch the way John Jones uses his body, he's so long. And if you ever try to take a guy down who's long and has really good balance, and I think it's God-given. I'm not sure that you can really train for it that much. You see guys that are built and they've got muscles and they look really stout, and then you see long guys who use their balance. And John Jones, when you watch that guy, it's like he's spread out like a spider all the time. Like it's really hard. And there are examples of it. Like I always say, when you're, you may or may not know this name, but Darryl Strawberry, baseball player. He was a guy who was a kind of a beanpole. Like Darryl Strawberry was like 6'4", 185 or something when he was playing for the Mets or whatever. He's a super long, skinny guy who could jack a home run 470 feet. But when you watched him swing, his entire body turned on it. It wasn't
technique.
Yeah, it wasn't the sort of the dude with the big forearms who just takes the cut at it. It was the guy started on the balls of his feet and just went through his waist, and the torque. He created crazy torque by the full use of his body. And I always have this theory that the tall, long guys learn to use their entire body quick, whereas the guys with the big biceps, they kind of rely on their biceps, but they don't rely on their thighs and the technique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And John Jones is that guy. It's crazy.
Well, he's good everywhere.
He's good everywhere.
He's good everywhere. And MMA, there's so many ways to lose, isn't there? It's amazing that he hasn't. I mean, all right, he had that one loss. It wasn't really a loss. He was disqualified. He's undefeated, and he's had so many fights, and now he's moved up to heavyweight, and he made it look easy. He's the GOAT, for sure, unquestionable.
Totally agree. And is he going to fight in Ganya?
No, they're saying it's Stipe next. Stipe Miocic. And that's a tough fight for him.
For Stipe?
It's a tougher fight for John Jones, I would say. Because the Stipe can wrestle.
Yeah.
So that's the equalizer.
Stipe's 40, and I'm just not sure if he's up to this.
Well, we'll find out.
We will. All right. We'll take a quick break. Back with more Scott right after this. Oh, O'Reilly's. You know the song. I knew the song before they had a song, because I'd hang out the one in North Hollywood, California, and then I'd go off the one in Burbank, California, and then it was off the one in the La Crescenta, California when I moved again. I've always been with O'Reilly, and I'm tickled pink that they're here with me on this podcast. It's O Rewards bonus points month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in store or online. Get points and rewards sent straight to your phone or your inbox. You can get 2, 3, or even 4 times the bonus points on select purchases. To get you to your next reward even faster, receive a $5 reward for every 150 O Rewards points. And if you're already an O Rewards member and not receiving the rewards, just add your email or mobile phone number and get a $10 reward just for updating your existing account. And you sign up. And it's quick and it's easy. Just go to O'ReillyAuto.com, O'ReillyAuto.com, or do it in a store. That's an O'Reilly store.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace Man from Washington. I got a rich man, poor man for you. You don't wash your own car. Keep it classy, man.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
You don't wash your own car. So if you're super poor, you just leave it shitty. And if you're rich, some guy comes over and details it for you. All right. We're trying to think of rich man, poor man as stuff rich people and poor people do, but it's really the middle class doesn't do.
I get my kids out on the drive and we wash the car at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Give them something to do. That's what my dad would make me do. Me and my brother would have to wash the car at the weekend, the cars.
Yeah.
So I tend to do that with my kids. Not that as often as I used to for my dad, but I do try and do it.
Do they listen?
No.
Yeah.
And every time it's a struggle. It's an argument.
Yeah. And then there's that version where they come in after 5 minutes and go, I'm done. And then you go, you can't be done. And then you go, what about this? And then they go, I tried to get that out. And then you go, give me that rag. And then all of a sudden you're down, buffing it out. And they're watching
and they're
you.
Gone, watching TV.
Well, how does that work? How old are your kids?
I've got a 12-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy.
Well, we may not know with the boy yet, and the girl's a girl, but you tell me. You come from this world where everything is about discipline. Really, you owe much to discipline.
Yeah.
And repetition. And all martial arts is just repetition and discipline. I mean, it's all sports are that way, but in a weird way, martial arts is just you're just doing the same thing like over and over and over.
That's what Bruce Lee said, right? Don't fear the man that's practiced 1,000 kicks. Fear the man that's practiced one kick 1,000 times.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah.
That should be on your license plate frame.
That's better than Jet, by the way.
When you're making the kid go out and clean the car, they should read that. Yeah, so
but that's the repetition thing.
That's the repetition. Yeah. So that's a great saying.
Yeah.
So it is nothing but repetition and discipline. And that's in super short supply today. And I don't know. I, in many ways, have the same background you have in that everything I got, I just did it through sort of discipline and delayed gratification. And while everyone else is going out having fun, I'm going to stay here and do this thing that I don't want to do for a long time. How the hell do you instill that into somebody today?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's impossible, right?
It's a struggle. It's a struggle, yeah. Yeah, my kids are spoiled.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've got a bit of money. I've done okay. So they have nice things. But I do think to myself, man, it's much better to grow up poor. Because then when you get older, you'll appreciate what you get. And you won't just accept that it's going to be there, right? Surely. I know I'm supposed to instill them with these things and everything, but I'm away making movies a lot of the time.
Right.
So it's up to my wife. So blame her if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to grow up poor and then get rich.
Yeah.
It's not good to grow up poor and then just stay poor to the end. That's what my family did. They just got on that poor highway and they never exited.
Yeah.
But
imagine growing up rich and then being poor.
Oh.
That's really going to suck.
I used to tell Dr. Drew, who lived in 7,500 square feet in Pasadena, I was like, your kids are never going to live in as nice a house as they grew up in. I grew up in shacks. Like I was literally walking yesterday doing the air conditioning math. Like I grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
And I was going, first house I grew up in, I was on the service porch, no air conditioning. Then I went to my dad's apartment when I got divorced. No air there. Then my dad bought that $4,000 farmhouse in North End, no air there. Then I moved to another house and no air. Then I moved to the garage, no air. Then I moved to my first apartment, no air. Then I rented a house across the street from the apartment, no air. I was on a 7-dwelling, no air roll
streak
in the San Fernando Valley where it gets up to 108 degrees. From 0 to 29 and a half or something. Like I was on a 30-year no air roll, like literally going outside my garage and hosing myself off and then laying down with the fan on, sleeping on top of the covers and stuff. And I thought, yeah, it's all gravy for me now. It's all 1,000 times better than it was.
You could have been growing up in England with no heating.
You had no heater?
Well, not me. I was okay, but it's better to be hot than cold. Could have been worse, is what I'm saying.
But it also kind of depends on like your wiring. Like some people just are miserable in the heat, and some. Yeah. I always felt like I was cold in these places too, but there was remedies. Like I could put on socks and go to bed, or I could double up on a blanket or put something just had some heft to it on top of the blanket. Like I would sleep with a ski beanie on or something. Like I could do something. The heat, not avoidable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good point.
So your kids are going to grow up in heat and air conditioning. That's my kids too. And they're not going to do what we did because they don't have to. And good luck convincing them to do something that they don't have to do. So then they're going to have to find something. So I think the hope is you're not going to get them to do the repetition and you're not going to get them to do the discipline. But if they can find something that they're really into, then they will do the reps with that.
Well, hopefully they find something, right? Because some people, I was lucky I found something when I was young, and that's a blessing, right? But I don't know, a lot of people, they don't know what they want to do, right?
The saddest, the only time, I don't have a lot of time for people who are complaining. I just give my air conditioning speech, you know?
Yeah.
But the only time I really feel bad for somebody is when I talk to some 28-year-old dude and I go, well, what are you into? Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? And they go,
yeah,
I don't know.
If
Like,
you
I've
can
been
be passionate
watching
about-
Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Like, I like watching Netflix. I'm like, no, but you, what are you into? You know, they're like, well, I like Taco Bell.
Yeah,
It's like,
no, that's terrible.
it's like I never felt more sorry for somebody. And by the way, there's versions of, you know, what you did, stand-up comedians. There's like, I interview stand-up comedians. Like when I was 14, my mom drove me to the club.
Yeah.
Like I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's a blessing.
Yeah, did you memorize fight sequences when
Yeah, I
growing
was
up?
analyzing that Jackie Chan stuff and, you know, making my own like little home movies. I was the kid that got all the mates around to do the movie, you know. I was that guy. But yeah, it's yeah, I'll tell you what I had. So my parents, my dad butcher and my mom, she worked hard. I grew up around parents that really grafted hard, and that wore off on me. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that my kids, because making martial arts films, action films, that is not easy. That's hard work.
Right.
But they don't necessarily see that because I'm away somewhere else doing it. So when I come home, I'm just chilling out.
Yeah. And they don't
Right.
they can't
So
watch
they
their
don't know.
movies, right? Because they're
They can see it, but you don't really. You just see it on the screen, right? You need to be there, seeing the struggle, seeing
takes.
the 25 takes that didn't make
hours,
it into the movie.
No, it's a very interesting point, which is when you walk through the door. So in the past, the dad would walk through the door after working in the coal mine
Yeah.
all day, and he'd be covered with soot
Yeah.
and sweat. It'd be a disheveled mess. Slam his lunch pail down and just flop out on a chair. You
That's
know,
what we
and
had, yeah.
exhale, right?
Dad
Your
coming home with blood in his fingernails,
Right.
getting up at the crack of dawn, being
Right.
gone all day,
Right.
and making you go to the shop on a Saturday and work there as well.
Right. So you went that. So my kids either see me at home like you. I'm not working. I'm not
Yeah.
doing anything. Or when I leave, I just go somewhere and they're like, what'd you do? Go to Milwaukee and tell fart jokes and someone gave you a bunch of money and then you came home again? Like, yeah but sort of. But they never see me come through the door and drop the lunch pail and just, you know, collapse into a chair.
they're not there for the
Yeah.
4 a.m. meetup time in the lobby.
And they don't. And by the way, at least you do martial arts. I tell jokes. That's a zero burger to everyone's like, you just sit around, you talk anyway.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we go outside the house, you get paid to talk. When you come in, we pay you to shut up. That's the only difference. Yeah, so they don't, I mean, and here's the other one. I was saying this to Dr. Drew the other day, but I've been warning everyone about this for a while. Money is invisible now. It doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
My kids, the phone is money. It's like, oh, they got Apple Pay. Yeah, but they don't know who pays for Apple Pay. They think it's, I mean, they could intellectually understand it,
Yeah.
but it's basically the
You
phone
don't see the green.
pays for stuff. When we were kids, if you asked for $5 from your dad, it'd be like, oh boy, or $1, or you know, 3/4 or something. It's like you had to look for it.
Right. Yeah, you
Like
can't assign it to a finite piece of something. Like,
Yeah, like if I said to my dad at any time in my childhood, could I have $5? He'd be like, I don't got $5. Who has $5? I got to go look. I might have to go into another room
This
or
could take
something
a while, yeah.
and
Yeah.
search under the mattress or something. But don't hold your breath. Like it was all super tangible.
Yeah.
And people, I guess it's sort of the difference between going to Starbucks and they go, would you like the 20% tip or the 30%? And you just tap the thing and the person kind of looks at you like, all right. You just tap the thing. But if you pulled out
Yeah, it doesn't have the same
$10 and
effect.
went like that, or opened your sweat jacket and you had one of those change belts on or something, you peeled off a bunch of quarters and gave it'd be a little different experience.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. God, things are weird these days. Everything. Yeah. I sometimes think, well, am I just getting old? And I'm like my parents saying, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. Because the kids, they just accept it for what it is. It's only us that knew it when it was different.
It's sort of, and it's sort of micro and it's kind of macro. Like we go like, everybody in San Francisco is going to get reparations for $5 million. And people go, nah, that sounds about, what's wrong with that? It's like, well, who's paying for it? Like, where's the money? The money being invisible will let you do anything, sort of big government and or just on the sort of family level as well. It's just easier to do it. Now, it's not easier to you or me because money's not invisible to us because then you have to leave the house and do 25 takes with Keanu to get your money. It's still very...
I have to be smashed off the concrete another 5 times.
Yes.
And that's what my daughter's spending on Roblox, which is a useless game where she's dressing up little figures that don't even exist. And I'm smashing myself off concrete for that.
Well, I'll tell you, my son... I don't know, when it was about 7 years ago, was into like Pokemon. Right. I just said to him, look, you can engage in all the Pokemon you want, but history will not be kind to this endeavor. I'm just telling you now, we will look back and laugh at this like a bad haircut, like from the 80s soon. But I'm not going to stop you, but just understand what you're doing here. But yes, I wonder, I would think you would do your family a great service if you just went, we're going all cash in the home. Like you want to order Grubhub,
bring back the piggy bank.
Yeah, you want to order Grubhub, $38 worth of whatever. You better find 30. Don't just tap your phone.
Yeah,
go completely analog.
Total analog. Yes.
Yeah, or go outside and wash the car.
Yes. The other thing, too, is when money's invisible, you can't bribe your kids. You can bribe people with cash, but the invisible money people, like I tried a couple of times with my son. I was like, yeah, go out and do, clean the car or whatever. I'll give you $20. I'm good. Like, he is good. He doesn't need my paper money filled with cocaine and germs. He's got a phone. He doesn't need my shit. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my brother, nans, grandmas both used to live with us. And so we would play them off against each other. Mm-hmm. You get like £10 off the one nan, and then you go in and say, oh yeah, other nan gave me £10, nan.
Yeah, what you can do about
How much have you got? That's what we used to do.
And next thing you know, it's Benny the Jet Urquidez and Jackie Chan going at it in the living room.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's how that scene started.
That's right. So you would go work at a butcher shop on Saturdays?
At the weekend, yeah. Especially at Christmas time, because that's when it was really getting busy.
And were you operating the bandsaw and cutting ribs, or were you like just up front wrapping stuff in paper?
Not with the knives, just carrying. Well, the pigs would come in the morning still warm from being slaughtered, and I would help my dad to cut the pig into pieces.
Whole pig?
The whole pig, yeah.
Minus nothing?
You'd have a bucket of pig heads. You just chop the head off first, whack it in the bucket, then put.
The thing wouldn't be gutted or anything?
It would already be gutted.
Right.
That's already happened. And you put a leg up here on a hook and a leg up here on a hook, and then you'd cut it down the spine. Mm-hmm. And then you would have half, and you would dissect it. But scrubbing the block at the end of the day, that was the worst.
Butcher block.
Yeah. Hard graft.
So 2 questions. Did you ever work out on them like Rocky? You know what I mean? There on a Saturday.
I mean, it looks great, but you're wrecking the meat. It's not good.
You're not tenderizing it?
Yeah. I don't know how they let Rocky do that in that movie. Obviously, it wasn't very realistic.
It seems like the Philadelphia Health Department...
Keeps the meat tender. Yeah. Come on.
The health department would get involved with that guy. He's got old hand wraps that are bloody.
Yeah.
Wait, are we looking at you?
Oh, that's me about to hit the meat.
What movie did you hit the meat in?
I'm not hitting the meat.
I'm walking
in to kill someone.
So, working it so I'm squeamish.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not emotionally squeamish at all, but I'm I don't like fishing because like I would go fishing and people go, we use live bait. And I'd go, oh, what do you do? You put the hook through the eyeball. The minute I'd be like, I don't want to put a hook through an eyeball. I've never been hunting. It's all, somebody dropped off like 5 Maine lobsters to my house once, and I just like opened the box and it was like live lobsters. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like it's all weird to me. But now you grew up in it.
Yeah, but I didn't work in an abattoir. That would be something that I wouldn't like to have seen.
An abattoir?
You know, to kill the animals.
Oh, what we call
the animals would come in already
slaughterhouse.
Yeah,
we call it here.
Yes, slaughterhouse. But to see the light go out is not something. I'm glad I didn't get to see that. But I guess, I'm not squeamish, no. But also, I think it's good to have a respect for where the meat comes from. You know, you go to the supermarket, you buy it, it's gone off, I didn't eat it in time, put it in the trash. It's nice to know that it's come from a living animal and have a bit of respect for it. And that's what being a butcher gives you.
Yeah, I agree. It. But did it... See, now, so some people might be vegan right now because they were
listening to this.
Yes. No, my dad made me come to the butcher shop and he made me splay the pig out, and now I never want to see it again. And
had the opposite effect on me. I love the meat.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good boy.
Yeah.
It shows respect.
That's why I got those sharp teeth.
It could also turn you into a snob. Because you could go into a nice steakhouse and go, oh, my dad would have done this differently, or this is not right, or did it, or it doesn't have any effect.
I just love meat. I love meat. It's tastes so good.
I totally agree.
It feels good in your gut.
And listen, you got to have a little reverence for the animal that died. I agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
I last night ate some steak that the person I was eating with pointed out to me that you bought this steak 5 days earlier in Nevada. And I said, yeah, that's right.
So this was leftovers. Like it was, you bought the steak cooked.
I bought it. Yes, you're right. I should have been clear. I went out to dinner on a Friday night with Pete Brock and his wife. I ordered meat. I did not finish the meat. I took the meat, put it in a to-go box, put it in the mini fridge at the hotel room Friday night. Saturday,
those fridges aren't great.
Took it out, put it in the back of a car, drove back from Nevada, and then 4 or 5 days later, consumed it last night because I didn't want that cow to die in vain.
But now you're thinking I might need the toilet in a minute.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to need a new host for next week, Dawson.
Because if you do that enough, you become... Your gut becomes like that of a Saint Bernard or an animal that like forges in the dirt for roots or something.
So it's all about the repetition and the training.
Training, and exposing yourself to a lot of stuff.
No, but that's good. You had respect for the meat and you didn't want to waste it. We should all be like that.
And I think the people that are too clean and too covered with Purell and don't like think about your upbringing, or think about just fighting, sparring, and stuff like that. I mean, there's sweat and spit and blood. Like it's all you're trading a lot of stuff.
Well, my dad believes that he wouldn't get sick. He's a very healthy guy, and he wouldn't get sick because he'd exposed himself to that much bacteria from cutting himself by accident, like preparing the meat, and some of that bacteria going into his bloodstream.
Right.
He reckoned he was superhuman.
But is he still with us?
Yeah, he is, yeah. He's getting older. But yeah, no, he's always been a healthy guy.
Is he sick less than most?
Back in the day, yeah. He wasn't sick a lot. But I think what this whole pandemic taught me is that if we're hiding away from all the bugs too much, is that... Because this past winter, everyone's been sick. I've been sick. The kids were sick. Everyone was so sick. And I feel like we weren't exposing ourselves to the viruses that we normally would on a regular basis, and our immune system wasn't ready for it, right? So
repetition. You got to have something to train. Resistance.
Yeah.
I used
Bit of stress from the viruses.
The first boxing gym I went to before the Jet Center, this is a boxing gym in the Olympic gym or the Montoya gym or something in downtown. They had, by the way, I didn't have any money, and the leather headset, the boxing headgear.
Yeah.
It was like a $45 item. I didn't have it, but they had it at the gym, but they didn't have that many of them.
And it stank.
When it come time to spar, one dude just be getting out of the ring, just pull this big leather hat off, big afro come popping out, just drenched. And the guy just pull it right onto your head, just cinch that strap down and go, okay, now you can spar.
Oh, absolutely. I used to teach kickboxing for a long time, and you'd have the bag of gear, and, sometimes people would not have their boxing gloves or whatever, so you give them that. So everyone's wearing these gloves that absolutely just stank the bag out. It was disgraceful.
The water at that gym was a cacophony, a Whitman sampler mixed box of containers, Sunny D container, Clamato container, Gatorade container, all filled from a spigot and then just set out on a folding table. They were just out. There was no drinking fountain, or no one had their own personal anything. And in between rounds, everything was on a bell. It'd ring 3 minutes and it'd ring 1 minute. Everyone would stop. Then we'd just walk over to the table and just start chugging it. The rule was you kind of dumped it a little bit, but then you'd slap it down. That wasn't your bottle. That was just a bottle that was on the table, and it had Sunny D in it 3 months ago. Now it's just got tap water in it.
Faded label, yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's immune system was amazing.
Could take a punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful. So as we draw to the end here, Scott, is it go out and promote John Wick 4, or is it go to another set and begin work on John Wick 5, or like what is the plan?
Now, I'm very happy to be part of John Wick 4 and to be swept up in the whole promotion of it. It really is truly an amazing movie, one of the best action films ever made, in my opinion. So everyone should go and see it.
And you've seen them all.
Yeah, and I've seen it. Yeah, it's up there with Hard Boiled. It's up there with Die Hard, Predator. The original Matrix, I think, is an amazing action film.
Can you separate yourself from the film in terms of viewing it and then sort of rating it?
Well, I'm not in the whole movie, so I'm in a specific section of the movie. And once, I was watching it and thinking, and there was lots of the film that I didn't even have a clue about. There's some action set pieces in there that are just blow you away.
Do you get the whole script, or do they just keep that secret?
Yeah, but
and
you
kind
read
of give
the
you
script,
your part?
but with an action film, so much of that is not on the page.
Right.
You need to see it.
Yeah. So you have a top 5.
I'd say it's in the. Well, I need to see it again, but honestly, it completely blew me away, and I'm very proud to be involved in it.
And a connoisseur, and see, I think sometimes people think, "Oh, you just think it's good because you're in it." It depends what your wiring is. I would tend to think it was worse if I was in it.
I've done a lot of films, and I'll say right now, some of them are shit.
Right. So
this particular one is amazing.
It is out as you hear this. It is in theaters. It is crushing it on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics, 92%. John Wick, Chapter 4. Sorry, I got to digress. But the other thing that's crazy about this business is when I was hanging around with Keanu in this race trailer before this celebrity race we did, this was, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, he didn't have much cooking. Like, he was really a little depleted, I think. Like, we were just sitting in this trailer, they were doing a driver's meeting that we didn't know about, and everyone was looking for us, but we didn't know this thing was going on. We just were in this trailer for a long time, sort of wondering, like, where'd everyone go? Because people would be in and out of the race trailer, but they weren't anywhere, so we were just sitting there. And he was like kind of telling me, I want to do this movie. He was pitching me. Wasn't pitching me, but he had an idea about a movie in space and so on and so forth. But I don't know if I can get it made. And I don't know, you can do the time. It was 10 years ago or whatever, but he just didn't have a lot cooking. Keanu Reeves had a little dip and a little flatline for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I actually was sitting there kind of feeling bad for him. Like, well, maybe, you had a run. You know what I mean? Like, you made some good stuff, but you always have speed. And
listen, he, in my opinion, is one of the greatest action stars that we've ever had. If you think about it, right? 4 Matrix, 4 John Wicks, Speed, Point Break.
Oh, Point Break.
These,
yeah.
I mean, Matrix 4 maybe didn't live up to what it should have been. But he's made some incredible action films.
Oh, yeah.
And I take my hat off to the guy. It is so difficult to do what he does in the John Wick movies. He does so much of his own action himself. He's a grafter. He turns up every day. He gets on with it. He works really hard, and it's not easy. And the John Wick films he's been doing from age 50 to I think he's about 58 or something now. Wow. And these are some of the best action films ever made. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And he's doing it now. So I have complete respect for the guy, and long may it continue.
Yeah. All right. In theaters as we speak. Chapter 4. I'll be in Naples this weekend telling fart jokes with no one to appreciate it when I return. Doing 4 shows, stand up there at Off the Hook, and then Turlock, California at the Community Theater, and then Tower Theater in Fresno. So just go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. Good to see you, Scott. This has been fun.
You too, Adam. Thanks, mate.
So until next time, Adam Carolla, for Chris Max, Scott Adkins saying mahalo.